I'm talking to a lot of voters in my district, and it's overwhelmingly favored in my area. But when we talk, well, there's a lot of questions. Should there be local option? Should you have to have a brick and mortar, or can you just do it online? Yes to professional sports, no to high school and below. But what about college? And you don't have to say yes or no to college. You could say have a hybrid. You could have yes, except for no Kentucky universities, or yes, but only revenue-generating sports. So there's a lot of questions that we want to address and talk with constituents and interested parties about. I've reached out to the governor's office, and we want to see what they would like in the bill. We would like for him to be advocating for it if possible, but if he can't advocate for it, we like him to at least sign the bill when it's passed. We want the governor on board. This governor, Governor Bevin, is very persuasive when he's on message, and we'd like for him to get on our team and to help us out. If he's not going to join us, then we're going to move forward anyway. But we would love to have our governor on board. He's someone that we respect, and we'd like to benefit from his the bully pulpit and his wisdom.
Welcome back to In Focus Kentucky. On today's episode, we're focusing on sports betting legislation and the drafting of a new bill that would legalize sports gambling on collegiate and professional sports in our state of Kentucky. And joining me now to provide analysis on the Supreme Court decision is Kentucky Public Radio's Rylan Barton. Thanks so much for joining us here on the program.
Hi, Mario. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And how long have Americans been waiting on sports betting to be legal?
Well, it's been illegal for a little over, or almost 30 years now, so I guess about that long. There was a federal ban on sports betting. It banned all states from creating new sports gambling laws, although there are a handful that already allowed them, including like Nevada and Montana. And so states had for a while been pushing this. New Jersey had a big lawsuit that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And so this spring, the Supreme Court ended up ruling that states were now, ended up striking down that federal ban on sports betting, opening up the door for state legislatures to pass their own sports gambling laws.
Now, was that ruling that came down, was that a surprise for people that you may have been hearing at all?
I think it certainly wasn't a surprise to some. Some people, knew that this was going to happen. There are legislators in Kentucky who were saying that the state needed to go ahead and pass a sports gambling law just in case the Supreme Court were to rule in favor of it. Senator Julian Carroll, he's a Democrat. He's the former governor of Kentucky. He had for the past year or two been saying that Kentucky needed to kind of get ahead of the cart on this. And go ahead and pass a sports gambling law so that Kentucky could immediately begin to allow sports gambling and in turn allow the state to collect tax revenues off of it.
And it seems like there are a lot of states that are already pushing to place sports betting in their casinos. Is that correct from what you've?
Yeah, West Virginia is going to be doing that. I think Delaware is another state that's already moved on this again. And there's a lot of talk already in lots of states. This only happened was it last month, so it's legislatures are very slow-moving ships. It takes a while for them to turn around and really get legislation passed. So, in Kentucky, if anything happens, we'd be looking at the next year's legislative session, which starts in January, for something to come up.
And speaking of legislators, we asked Representative Nemes on this, but other states with legislation in place already, is Kentucky too far behind? Is that what, on this particular issue, or are we right where we should be from what you've been hearing out there?
I think that we're in the deliberative mode, and I think to move any faster would mean like the governor would have to call a special legislative session for the legislature to just pass a bill on sports gambling. So I think that right now it's this kind of like interim period where lawmakers are considering what they might bring up. Granted, the other thing is that the sports betting bills that have been proposed, they would raise a significant amount of revenue for the state, but it's not like an amount of revenue that would fix the state's budget crisis or anything. One of the estimates is raising anywhere between like $6 million and $26 million a year. I think that's for Representative Nemes's proposal. And meanwhile, the state has at least a $36 billion unfunded pension liability. That's kind of the barrel of the financial problem that the state's staring down right now.
We mentioned earlier Senator and former Governor Julian Carroll, his previous sports betting bill. Why didn't that get traction in the previous session?
I think that, one, because the Supreme Court ruling hadn't happened yet, and so lawmakers are sometimes loath to pass legislation that isn't really going to be able to go into effect yet. The other thing is Senator Carroll is of the minority party right now. Kentucky legislature is dominated by Republicans, and Senator Carroll's a Democrat. And the other thing is that I know that some Representative Nemes's concern with legislation like that, at least, is he doesn't want the funds raised by it to be earmarked for certain programs. So Senator Carroll's bill would have raised that money specifically for education and for pensions. Meanwhile, Representative Nemes says that he just wants the money to go into the state's general fund, so the state just has more money to put towards all programs.
All right, the 2019 session doesn't start till 2019 in January, so where do we go from here? What are some of the next steps that you see happening on this particular issue?
I think the next thing to watch for is for a committee to happen sometime over the summer. The lawmakers will have a special meeting to discuss this issue. There hasn't been anything declared yet, but this is a buzz topic. A lot of lawmakers are interested in it. It's one of those rare moments in which it seems like a lot of people are in favor of raising new revenue. It's really hard thing to come by in Kentucky. So I think we'll see some more discussion about it over the summer.
And we've reached out to some of the different horse racing companies from Churchill Downs to Keeneland, Red Mile, and a lot of them are kind of keeping quiet until the legislators move forward with something on this.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that racetracks would benefit from this. They already have. So Kentucky allows. There's this kind of slot machine style. Gambling that happens at racetracks in these racinos, and there's some question whether or not those would be good parlors for sports betting to happen. Churchill Downs is creating a big old expansion right now in Louisville. I think Red Mile has a place in Lexington as well. So they're kind of seen as an industry that could dovetail nicely with legalizing sports gambling.
Well, Rylan, we thank you for providing some perspective on this fast-moving topic, and we'll be seeing your work and seeing how the process goes from here.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mario.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for watching In Focus Kentucky. There are many ways to keep up with updates about this show. You can watch this or any of our past shows online at SpectrumInFocus.com, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search at Mario Anderson TV. Have a great week.